My name is Jess Harper. Boys, I've been dead now for almost 152 years, but that don't really matter none. I've come here tonight to tell you all about the Old West and how it used to be back in the early 1800s when I was a boy. You see, my daddy was a three-legged Texas pig farmer. Now, I don't mean to tell you that my daddy had 3 legs. I'm trying to say that my daddy invented the famous Texas three-legged pig. You see, somewhere around 1830, me and Daddy and my baby brother Otis drifted down out of Arkansas to become the first pig farmers in the state of Texas at that time. Mama had done got killed during the big pig stampede of 1827. The horrible thing about a typical pig stampede is that 99.99% of the participants have absolutely no idea why in the devil they're stampeding in the first place. Such was the case with the stampede that carried Mama away. I remember there was a man named Mr. Pierce who lived up in Claiborne County who owned about 45,000 head of prime 4-legged Arkansas Razorback pigs. The biggest pig in that herd was a 4,200-pound critter named Big Willie. Big Willie had just been walking along the edge of a steep embankment looking for a place to lay down in the sun. Suddenly he had stumbled off the side of the steep embankment. By the time Big Willie got to the bottom of the steep embankment, he had done achieved what me and Otis used to call AMPV, which is short for absolute maximum pig velocity. He was going just as fast as it was humanly possible for one pig to go without actually having a sidewinder missile strapped on his rear end. I don't know if you've ever seen a 4,200-pound critter come rolling by you at AMPV, but it kind of makes you sit up and take notice. Every pig in that herd got up on their little hind legs and they watched old Big Willie go thundering by. It occurred to them that whatever it was on top of that hill that had spooked the big pig so bad must be something truly terrible, horrible to behold. So the whole herd just sort of jumped up and joined in the general stampede. And by the time Big Willie got control of his little short legs and began to even think about slowing down, he realized that the whole herd was right behind him. And they was gaining on him. He did the only thing he knew to do. He just kind of put his nose into the wind and he kept on getting. 3.5 counties later, they came carrying into our little pitiful homestead. Me and Daddy and Otis had seen the big cloud of dust coming from about a mile away, and we scampered up the old cottonwood tree out near the chicken pen, about 100 feet off the ground. Off to the north, as far as you could see, was nothing but pork chops and bacon coming at us at a high rate of speed. Suddenly, we looked down in the yard, and there was Mama. She was hanging out our pitiful laundry on a little line that Daddy had put from the house to the chicken pen. She couldn't see the big cloud of dust because her view was partially obstructed by a pair of Daddy's long red holy underwear. Now, I'm not trying to tell you that my daddy's underwear was religious. I'm trying to say that my daddy's underwear was well ventilated. Me and Otis started yelling, "Mama! Mama, get up a tree! Pig stampede, Mama! Mama, get up a tree!" Mama was very hard of hearing. She turned around and happened to catch a view of us up in the tree and never wondered what in the devil we was doing up there in the first place. She held out her little scrawny arms and she said, "A present for me! A present for me!" Mama thought that for the first time in recorded history, me and Daddy and Otis had gone out to the general store, which was roughly 290 miles away, and bought her a store-bought present for her impending birthday. She was completely mistaken, but it was the happiest 8.5 seconds of my mama's life. About that time, Big Willie came busting through the clothesline, carrying off Daddy's religious underwear. And Mama! Boys, for the next 4.5 hours, we stood there as pigs of every size, shape, and religious denomination went streaming through the yard. Finally, when it was over, me and Otis went screaming down out of the tree to see if we could find any parts of our mama that we might be able to identify. We thought that Daddy was right behind us. Suddenly we looked back up in the tree, and there was Daddy, hanging only by the ends of his little scrawny fingertips in the very top of the old cottonwood tree. In all the excitement and all that time, his body had done seized up into what can only be described as a full-blown Arkansas major body cramp. He couldn't go up, and he sure couldn't get down without some sort of serious assistance from me and Otis. I looked at the situation. I came up with a plan right away. I sent Otis out to the old tool shed to get about 350 feet of heavy-duty, 3/4-inch manila rope. Then I ran out to the back pasture to gather up the 2 old mules that Daddy kept chained up out there. Boys, them mules was a little bit riled up, but with all that pig stampeding going on, took me a while to kind of get them together. By the time I got back up to the tree, Otis had done already climbed the tree. He had taken one end of the rope and he tied it around Daddy's left-handed leg, a big old overhanded triple undersided Otis knot. Around Daddy's other leg, he had taken the other end of the rope and tied a big old underhanded Larry Youpie Otis knot. An Otis knot is a knot that only Otis can tie. And if you make the mistake of putting a little bit of pressure on that thing, it's going to take an act of God, an act of Congress, and a presidential proclamation to untie the darn thing. Boys, Otis threw the rope to the ground. I took my little Comanche tomahawk and I cut it in two. Then I took one end of the rope and I tied it around the rear leg of old Tommy, 1,800 pounds, irritated Arkansas mule. I took the other end and I tied it around the rear leg of old Bessie, irritated, nasty, excited Arkansas mule. Boys, me and Otis kind of stood there. We looked up at Daddy. He was standing there like some kind of shriveled up Christmas ornament with extension cords hanging out of his britches. His eyes were all bugged out like he was a toad in a microwave, and his mouth was all scrooched up like he was trying his best to say something. I imagine he was trying to thank me and Otis for what we was about to do to him. Me and Otis got right over beside them mules, and I made the universal making a mule go noise. I said, mule! Boys, them mules just stood there like blocks of wood. Mules can be very stubborn. I didn't know what to do. All of a sudden, stupid little Otis hopped up and ran back into the house. He was gone about 3 minutes. I just kind of stood there looking around, trying to figure out what to do. A few seconds later, he came out and he had on a big pair of oxhide leather gloves, and he was toting a big old bucket that was overflowing with hot scalding mesquite coals from out of the fire. The universal making a mule go noise. But it weren't necessary. Boys, them mules went tearing out of there like they had someplace important to go. We looked up just in time to see Daddy come sailing by about 90 feet off of the ground. He was still holding on to the upper 1/3 of the old cottonwood tree. Now, I like to think that Daddy might have enjoyed the first 80 feet of his ride toward the ground. However, the initial impact was a little greater than anybody might have anticipated. The only good thing about slamming into the ground that hard is that whatever cramps and seizures Daddy had been having was completely knocked loose from the man. The second, third, fourth, and fifth bounce libered him up real good. Not only had Daddy come flying out of the tree at a high rate of speed, but now he was beginning to move forward at an equally great rate of speed. Boys, for the next 3.5 hours, we stood there and watched as Daddy plowed up the back 42 acres, using nothing but those 2 flaming mules and his rear end. I don't know if you've ever dumped scalding hot coals in the inner ear of a mule, but I'm going to tell you something. The faster that mule goes, the hotter them darn coals is going to get.